and that friendship would prove valuable indeed to her daughter. And so she forced aside her jealousy and was merely glad that Jaina had found such a friend. She started onto the bridge, put pause again, sensing movement behind her. She knew before looking that it was Balfour, her Nori bodyguard, and barely gave him a glance as he glided to the side, moving so easily and gracefully that he reminded her of a lace curtain drifting lazily in a gentle breeze. She had accepted young Balfour as her shadow for just that reason, for he was as unobstructive as any bodyguard could be. Leia marveled at the young Nori, at how his grace and silence cover a perfectly deadly fighting ability. She held up her hand, indicating that Balfour should remain out here, and though his unusually emotionless face did flash Leia a quick expression of disappointment, she knew he would obey. Balfour and all the Nori would do anything Leia asked them. He would jump off a cliff or dive into the hot end of an iron engine for her, and the only time she ever saw any sign of discontentment with her orders was when Balfour thought she might be placing him in a difficult position to properly defend her. As she was thinking now, Leia understood the why in the world Balfour would fear for her safety on her sister-in-law's private shuttle was beyond her. Sometimes dedication could be taken a bit too far. With a nod to Balfour, she turned back to the bridge and crossed through the open doorway. "How much longer?" she asked, and was amused to see both Jaina and Mara jump into surprise at her sudden appearance. In answer, Jaina increased the magnification on the forward screen, and instead of the unremarkable dots of light, there appeared an image of two planets, one mostly blue and white, and the other reddish in hue, seemingly so close together that Leia wondered how it was that the blue and white one, the larger of the pair, had not grasped the other in its gravity and turned it into a moon. Parked halfway between them, perhaps 500,000 kilometers from either, deck lights glittering in the shadows of the blue and white planet, loomed a moon calamari battle cruiser, the Mediator, one of the newest ships in the New Republic fleet. "They are at their closest," Mara observed, referring to the planets. "I beg your indulgence," came a melodic voice from the doorway, and the protocol droid C-3PO walked into the room. "But I do not believe that is correct." "Close enough," Mara said. She turned to Jaina. "Both Rahamul and Osirian are ground-based technologically. Rahamul almost exclusively so," C-3PO quickly added, drawing a scowl from all three of the women. Obviously, he rambled on. "Even Osirian's fleet must be considered marginal at best. Unless, of course, one is using the Pentang scale of aerial techno advancement, with counts. Even a simple land speeder is highly as it would a Star Destroyer, perfectly ridiculous scale." "Thank you, C-3PO," Leia added, her tone indicating that she had heard more than enough. "They have both got missiles that can hit each other from this distance, a close distance, though," Mara continued. "Oh yes," the droid exclaimed, "and given the proximity of the relative elliptical orbits." "Thank you, C-3PO, Leia said. "They will remain within striking distance for some time," C-3PO continued without missing a beat. "Months at least. In fact, they will be even closer in 2 standard weeks, the closest they will be to each other for a decade to come." "Thank you, 3PO, Mara and Leia said together. "And the closest they have been for a decade previous," the droid had to slip in as the women turned back to their conversation. Mara shook her head, trying to remember her original point to Jaina. That's why your mother chose to come out now. You're expecting a fight? Jaina asked. And neither Leia nor Mara missed the sparkle in her eye. The mediator will keep them behaving, Leia said hopefully. Indeed, the battle cruiser was an impressive warship, an updated and more heavily armed and armored version of the Mon Calamari Star Cruiser. Mara looked back to the screen and shook her head, unconvinced.